the Pittsburgh Steelers have finally traded for a wide receiver, and that wide receiver is Mike Williams of the New York Jets. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they give up the 2025 fifth-round pick, and in return, they get a wide receiver they've been desiring since the offseason in Mike Williams. So, Steelers fans can finally rest because we've been hearing all the names at wide receiver be linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers for months now. It started with Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, and then some other players like Courtland Sutton and more. But Mike Williams has also been a player linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers since the offseason, because before he signed with the Jets, he was supposed to meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers a day later. But the Jets threw a bunch load of cash at him, and he signed before he even got to visit Pittsburgh. So Steelers have been interested in him since the offseason, and have been trying to trade for him for weeks, ever since Devontae Adams ended up as a New York Jets, and the Jets no longer had a need for Mike Williams. And now the deal finally gets done. Not even just for him, but just for a wide receiver in general. The Pittsburgh Steelers finally have the rumors put to rest, and that wide receiver the Steelers trade for is Mike Williams for a 2025 fifth-round pick, and he will be the second 1B type of receiver next to George Pickens. So, before I get more into the details of this Mike Williams Steelers trade, enjoy this breakdown and highlights done by Brian Baldwinger, Baldy NFL on X. Go ahead and give him a follow.
Watson at Clemson. The ability to just go up and just be the tallest player on any given play, to come down with it. He'll catch it with his body when he's bracing for contact. But otherwise, I'd say Michael Williams is ready for a breakout season this year. We know he was injured for the most part of the year, but those are behind him. These plays that he's making right now on the outside, the ability to run routes right here at 6'4", 225 pounds, be able to stop on a dime, come back to the ball, and then finish after the catch. I'm telling you, he's a Mustang that is ready to be unleashed right now. Watch the timing of him.
Remember when the Chargers made Mike Williams out of Clemson, the number one pick? Remember that, the championship game, the shootout, Clemson, Alabama, Deshaun Watson, Mike Williams? Well, this is the Mike Williams that we watched last night on this straight go route right here. Got to tuck that ball away quick. And it was all night, all over the field. They needed a big play on 3rd and 12 right here. Let's go to Mike Williams up at the top. Little back shoulder fade right here, a little adjustment, maybe a little push off, who knows. Big guy, it's kind of hard to keep your hands inside. How about this touchdown right here? How about this route right up at the top? Let's drive it in, stem it, put the right foot in the ground, and then come back out. Let Phillip lay it up there. Just lay this ball up, then adjust to it. Always got two hands on the ball. Always reaching for two. Basic fundamentals. How about this? How about this call? Huh? How about Ken Wisenhunt in this call? The old end around, all kinds of action. People going in different directions. Watch Sam Tevy here. Sam Tevy's like, you coming? You coming? You with me? I got a block for you, bro. I got a block. Come on, right on behind me. How about that one? Makes it look pretty easy. Body going all different directions. There's only one goal, though, the end zone. Now, how about this? Need a touchdown at the end of the game? There it is. One-on-one, jump ball, basketball on grass, two hands on it, right? Always two hands. Two strong hands, basketball on grass. Hey, how about this? 28-27, kick the extra point. Nah, we got Mike Williams. We'll go for two. We'll go for two in the win and the shock in Chiefs Kingdom right here. How about this? Stack route. Him and Terrell. Mike Williams, Terrell Williams. Get the Williams straight. Oh, the Chiefs just didn't do that, did they? They didn't just do that, did they? That's why you run stack routes. Guys make mistakes. For the game, set, match. A career night for Mike Williams, and the Chargers needed all of it.
So, once again, that breakdown was done by Brian Baldwinger, a former NFL player, does a great job breaking down teams and players. His @ is Baldy NFL on X. Go ahead and give him a follow. Now, just looking at this trade in general, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they get Mike Williams. He suffered a torn ACL last season while playing with the Los Angeles Chargers, but he is a 6'4", 218-pound wide receiver who can block and catch jump balls on the outside for a team. And that team is now the Steelers. And you look at him and he fits well with what Russell Wilson does. Russell Wilson loves throwing it deep in terms of that moon ball and giving his receivers 50-50 chances. And just like George Pickens, with Mike Williams in his past, those 50-50 balls has been more like 75-25 balls, or even better. So he is fully recovered from the ACL injury. He has played this season. However, he has struggled this season. He has only put up 155 receiving yards on 12 receptions. But this is mainly because Williams became buried in the depth chart after the Davante Adams trade. But even before the trade, he was not playing every snap, trying to recover and get back on the field after that knee injury. So Mike Williams, he is now 30 years old, and he is on a 1-year contract, and he'll be a free agent this March. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they get a former first-round pick in their wide receiver room in Mike Williams, and they give up a 5th-round draft pick. So that may be steep for a 1-year rental or half a season rental. We'll wait and see, but maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers just retain him this offseason and sign him back. Who knows? But you look at Mike Williams, and he is now a Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers finally get their guy at wide receiver via trade. So, me personally, my thoughts on this trade, I like it, because I'd rather make this trade and give up a 5th-round draft pick than give up a 2nd-round draft pick for a different receiver, like just say Cortland Sutton, or a 3rd-round draft pick for Darius Slayton, for example. So I'd rather give a later-round draft pick because those higher draft picks are more valuable, and you could find stars in the draft. But later in the draft, it becomes harder, so getting a guy with Mike Williams' caliber for a 5th-round draft pick is really good. And he's a player who did really good in his career, and only after his ACL injury is really when he started to fall off a little bit. And even then, we all know the first season after a major injury, especially one like an ACL, that season doesn't really go too well. And it takes a whole nother season, a whole nother year for you to finally get back up to full kind of health and be the player you used to be. So maybe that's what's happened with Mike Williams. The first year after his ACL injury, maybe he's not as good, but next season, just say the Steelers retain him, and all you have to do is give up a 5th-round draft pick for him, and he becomes the player that he used to be, then that's a great pickup for only a 5th-round draft pick. And I would rather that. So you look at his stats with the Jets, it hasn't been good, but when you look at his stats with the Chargers, he put up over 1,000 yards twice, and he's been a touchdown machine, going over 10 touchdowns as well in his career, and 9 touchdowns and things like that. So he has been a huge playmaker for the Chargers with Justin Herbert, and now hopefully he can retain that and bring some of that here to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he'll actually get playing time and time to make plays. So what does this mean for roles on the team? Well, Mike Williams will more than likely be the number 2 receiver on this roster. George Pickens, number 1, Mike Williams, number 2, Calvin Austin, number 3, and Van Jefferson, number 4. I believe that he'll slot right into the Van Jefferson role that he had prior to the trade, because Van Jefferson was a player who's seen a lot of playing time on the outside and next to George Pickens and in the 2-man game. So he will probably take all the reps from Van Jefferson, and he'll be playing because he is a big body receiver, and he is basically what George Pickens was a few years ago. You look at what Mike Williams was doing on the Chargers, he was a contested catch guy. He was a jump ball type of guy. He was the big body type of receiver that teams had to worry about. And now that's what George Pickens is. Obviously, George Pickens is much better, but now you have 2 guys who can do basically the same thing, and then you have a shifty, smaller player like Calvin Austin who could retain his role. I don't believe this will really take much of the role out of Calvin Austin's hands. I'll still believe he'll have his role as the shifty guy. So it's really George Pickens, Mike Williams, and Calvin Austin as the top 3 in my eyes. So Mike Williams will have a spot on this team, and obviously if they traded for him, they value him. So anyway, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers trade for Mike Williams. These are the highlights throughout his career, the breakdown of his highlights as well, done by Brian Baldwinger, Ball the NFL. And this is my thoughts on the trade and analysis of it and reaction to the highlights as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports. And also if there's more trades, I'll cover those as well. Also, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below before I end this video on this trade. Do you like it? Do you believe the Steelers gave up too much or just right? Or they gave up too little in this trade and fleeced the Jets? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about this trade in general. And also, like I said, subscribe, turn notifications. Until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.